All right, in this video, we're talking about Google Forms quizzes and how it integrates with Google Classroom. This is not a comprehensive video on Google Forms itself. It's just a quick flyby and how it works within Classroom. And so I have a topic already created where I'm going to put a quiz. I'm going to create a quick quiz. You can, when you create an assignment, you can attach a quiz that you already have, and that's how you should do it. You should treat it as a document you already have. They also have a quiz assignment feature, but that's actually, I think, in some ways kind of obsolete right now. So I don't know how much longer Google will have that in Google Classroom, because really it's unnecessary, because now Google has right here within the assignment the create option, and you can choose a form, which will do the exact same thing. If you already have a Google form in existence, always go to add and choose it from Google Drive. Do not add it as a link. And the reason why is because when you hit add and you choose Google Drive, then what ends up happening is it keeps a tally of who has completed the quiz. So you just treat it like it's an attachment from Google Drive. It'll add it in there, and then the students will get to it, and you'll be able to set up your quiz. So the first thing I'm going to do is give some instructions here. Okay, so before I attach this, some things to keep in mind is you can choose which classes it goes to. You can choose which students it goes to. I'm going to select all my students there. You can decide how many points this is going to be. I'm going to make this a total of 3 points. You can set a due date. So I'm going to go ahead and set a due date because that integrates with Google Calendar nicely. You can also set a specific time if you want to. And I'm going to set the topic because I just made a new topic specifically for this. You can create your topics from here as well. When you click on the topic option and you go to the top of your list, there is a create topic option residing right there, ready for you to use. I'm not going to attach a rubric here. And since I do not already have this quiz built, I'm going to go ahead and create and hit form. It will create a brand new quiz for me, attached and ready to go. Give it a title, it'll absorb it right there. And when you create a quiz, it can be multiple choice, it can be checkboxes, drop down, you can do short answer, you can do paragraph. There's lots of different options here. Today, for this quick overview, I'm just going to do a multiple choice and a short answer. So here we go. Make sure that this is required. Add another question, make this one short answer. So that way they can put in their answer. Okay, so both of those are required. The next thing I need to keep in mind is I can change the theme. I can see a preview of what this will look like for the students itself. So that's what it would actually look like. I'll close out of that tab. And the next thing I'm going to do is go to the gear so I can adjust these settings. Number one, I want to make sure that I collect email addresses, and I'm going to turn off response receipts here. I'm going to restrict it to my school district, and I'm not going to make it that they can edit after they submit, and I'm not going to make it that they can see summary charts and text responses. I'm going to skip over here to quizzes because this is where you actually turn it on. One of the options you can do is turn on locked mode. This will put students using a Chromebook in locked mode. It means that it'll turn off screenshots as well as the ability to visit anything outside of the form and back out of the form, but they cannot submit until they have completed the form. You can make it whether or not it releases the grade immediately. I'm going to do later after manual review. And then you can decide what you want them to see. So it depends on what kind of quiz this is and what your purpose is. But if this is a final, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it that you can see missed questions and point values, but not correct answers. Going to check on these other options here. You can, in the presentation mode, check the progress bar or shuffle question order. This is handy. I'm going to go ahead and add that in just so that way you can see that it keeps all the data straight. These are all automatically adjusted according to the quizzes here. So when you turn it on quiz, these options get shut off automatically. All right, this quiz is almost ready to go, other than I need to choose the correct answers. So once you select a question, then you can choose the correct answer, like so. For short answer, then what you can do is you can give some ideas of what it might be. I'm going to make this one worth 2 points though, because it is a longer answer. And so you can add some correct options in here. Okay, so those are some different options, and you can add answer feedback. Like I said, this isn't a thorough Google Forms overview. So I have my totals here. I'm going to close out of the quiz. I'm going to add to the instructions here. And I'm only saying that because, well, these are actually teachers. All right, so it still says untitled form here, and that's only just because I have not saved this. You can save this as a draft and come back to it later. I'll go ahead and save it as a draft, just so that way when you see that I go back to it, and you can see it's in draft mode here, when I go back to it, it actually does absorb the name of the actual quiz here. Okay, so it is in locked mode. It's already ready to go. The other option I'm going to add in here, and actually it didn't show up until I actually saved the draft and went back. Another important thing to do is to import the grades. And so especially if you are a secondary teacher and you have one form that you are using, when you use grade importing, it takes all the grades that are in the form and in the spreadsheet and imports it into the appropriate Google Classroom if you are sending to multiple classrooms. Really important feature. I will actually multi-post here, just so that way I do have a demonstration example that you can see it go into locked mode. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and assign this, and we'll check out the data later. All right, in this video, I'm going to actually demonstrate how locked mode in Google Forms works through Google Classroom. You can do locked mode without Google Classroom, but this one's set up through Google Classroom. So the teacher set up an assignment, and locked mode does not allow for any screen recorder. So that's why I'm just using a camera. So I apologize for the quality. So the student would hit continue, and then what ends up happening is all extensions, screen recorders, everything is shut down. So then the student can participate in the quiz. And when they are finished, then they hit submit. And then it takes them back into the regular form, and they can hit open assignment. It'll take them back to Google Classroom so that they can see the actual assignment itself and show that it is submitted. Now that a student has participated, you'll see that I actually, as the student, had backed out of this quiz, and it actually tells you that someone opened the quiz and then re-entered it. So it's nice because it does actually inform you via email if a student tries to pull that off. Because they can back out of the quiz, they just can't submit until they have gone all the way through it. All right, so now, as the teacher, that the students have participated, when I go to this quiz, what's nice is that I can get an instant checklist of who has turned it in and who hasn't. And that is because I attached it as an assignment. So when I hit create and I hit assignment, I attached it as an assignment like it's a document straight from Google Drive. That's the way to do it. Don't just copy a link and paste it in. It doesn't work as well. So with Classroom, when you do it this way and you multi-class post, because here is this class, and then if I go to this class, I can see the exact same assignment because I posted it in both places, and I can see who's turned it in and who hasn't. And so it's pretty fantastic because all of the data is going into one place in my Google form. But at the same time, here in a little bit, I'll show you why this is significant. Okay. But first, I need to complete the grades. So I'm going to go to the quiz itself, and it's going to tell me that lock mode is on, yada, yada, yada. So I click on the pencil on the bottom right. And it does seem like Google's been moving that edit mode. I think earlier this year it was up on the top right, but that time it was on the bottom right. Now I can click on responses, and I can see all responses. I get a summary, and I can see all the responses right here. And then what I can do is I can see individual responses and see who said what. So if I go to my fake student here, and it even tells me right here, respondent has opened this assessment more than once. That is a really handy feature. And this is showing that it's wrong just because it didn't follow my correct answers earlier, but I have the ability to go in and manually change the grade here. Now, you might be saying, well, Lance, that takes forever to grade like that. I have all of these open-ended questions that I'm going to have to go through and sort through and click on each student and sift through this really quickly. Well, that takes forever. So there is a faster way. If I click on question, I can choose which question it is, and this one is pretty straightforward. It is just a multiple choice one, so that's not a problem. But if I wanted to do an open-ended one like this one, I could click on this arrow. It'll take me to the next one. I can also click on this drop down and choose which one it is. And then I can see right away, hey, this is where I can quickly grade these. And it gives me the checklist. It doesn't even tell me who it is. I can see the answer key that I had come up with as the auto responses that would count them correct. And so then I'm able to just do this. Gave a partial grade there. Awesome. So now I went through all of these and graded them fairly quickly. This is, I don't know who answered what. And when I hit save, it saves all of my grades like so. And then what I can do is I can go to the individual responses here. And then what I am also able to do is I can release the score here. And when I hit release score, I can choose just individual responses, or I can select all like so. And send the email and release the score. And then the students would actually get these results. And this is also students from different classes. So this is two separate classes all in one. So I just released all those scores. I'm going to go back to Google Classroom and show you how this integrates so well. So now this has been done. And when I hit import grades right here, what it's going to do is it's going to absorb the grades from my Google form and pull it in and put them into Google Classroom. So that way the student knows what their grade is straight from their classroom and separated from me as the teacher. So I can go to my other class here and go to that assignment. And then I can hit import grades like so. So then it imports their grades just like that into Google Classroom. They have their grades separated by class, and I'm able to get to them quickly. I'm going to head back to this class, back to classwork. All right, the next part I'm going to talk about is in the spreadsheet itself. With a Google form, then what you want to do is you want to go into the actual data so that way you can sift things out a little bit. So there's a couple of things I want to show you through this. I want to show you one, that if a student needs to retake something, you can actually do that from the form itself. And then the data actually shows up in the spreadsheet. So I'm going to click on the Google form again from the assignment, click on the pencil to get into the form itself because it's in locked mode. Usually that doesn't happen unless you have locked mode on. And again, that only works on Chromebooks. The thing I'm going to do next is click on responses and then click on the spreadsheet because it's going to create my spreadsheet. I should have actually done that in the first place. And then what it does is it opens up a separate tab with the spreadsheet and all the information like that. The next thing I'm going to show you is that you can actually delete responses. So here it actually shows all students, both classes that I have running here. I'm going to go down to my student that I'm going to have redo this test and click on the trash can like so. And here in a little bit, I'm going to have the student redo it. So right now, when you look at this and I see fake student, I see the results right here. All right. So now that I have those results, I'm going to have the fake student take it, and then we will see how these results turn out in the spreadsheet. So now my student did a test retake. So I go to the responses portion of the Google form, find his response, and then I can add the points accordingly and mark it as correct. So there we go. I'll hit save, and now the student has it correct, although it's still showing an X right there. So maybe I need to actually go to the question itself. Let me try that and find that response and make sure that I put in a check mark there. That way it's actually marked as correct. So now that I'm in the spreadsheet, what is really cool is that when you have a student that you have deleted their response in the form itself. So I went to the student, trashed their response right there, and then I went into the spreadsheet. It shows that the responder had changed this answer. And so then you are able to see the result, the new result and the updated grade in the spreadsheet. And then if you're wondering, well, what in the world? I can't see the student's previous response. Yes, you can. You can actually right click on that cell, that change, and hit show edit history. And when you see that, you can see any history that occurred in that individual cell. So you can go back and backtrack and see what happened as the cell changed over time. So any retakes that they do, you would see those updated responses. So why is this spreadsheet such a big deal? Well, really the most valuable thing is if you have 3 classes taking this quiz, and it really comes down to filters. One of the questions that you could ask is you could ask what class it was. So that way you would separate the classes. But I didn't do that in this case. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the whole sheet by clicking there. And I'll just do it by date. So that way you can get an idea of what a filter does. But I click on the cone right there. And then any filter that I want to set up, I click on the little cone that appears here. So filters are on. And then I see a filter here. And then what I'm going to do is clear all the filters. And I only want to see responses that occurred on the 21st. And when I hit that, then I can just see the responses that occurred on the 21st. You can set up filters on any of these. So let me undo that, select all, bring them back. Now it shows that there's no filter there. And let's say I want to separate it by score. So I'm going to clear all these and I only want to see the 2 out of 3s here. So I hit that, and then I can only see the 2 out of 3s, and I can see their responses accordingly. So you can set filters on whatever you want according to what you want to see. It didn't work real well in this scenario because if I would have had a different answer here, I could have filtered according to different answers. I could have cleared all of those and chose a different one, and then it would have given me an idea of how students were responding in there or which students responded in that way. So spreadsheets are super powerful. Anytime you want to get back to that spreadsheet, it's located right here. When I go to questions and then responses, I can click on the spreadsheet right here, and then all of that data is collected. So now that I said all that, what if I want to recycle this for next year? So if I want to recycle it for next year, what I would do is this. Number one, I would trash all the responses like this. And hit OK. Number two, I would click on the 3 dots and hit select response destination. And I would hit select existing spreadsheet. I'm going to keep the exact same one. And I want to find the tough quiz spreadsheet, select it, and it's going to attach it. Now I needed to delete that first because what it does is it unlinks the previous tab in the spreadsheet, and it gives me a brand new tab with no responses in it. If I would have not cleaned out my responses, then what would have happened is if I tried to select a new response destination and selected the exact same one, it would pull all of those previous responses in. So if I look down here, I see form responses 2. Over here, I see form responses 1. So this is the previous year. And I could actually rename this. I'll rename this year 2. And then I have the data from year 2 and I have the data from year 1. I can rename this one. When I look at this, I can see which one actually has the form attached to it. And right there is the Google Form icon letting me know that this is the one that the form is submitting to right now. So every year what I would do is I would go here, or every time I was finished, I would go here, delete the responses. Then I would select a response destination, select an existing one, and select the exact same spreadsheet. And every year what it will do, or every time I want to run it, is it's going to create a new spreadsheet in the same spreadsheet so I can compare data from year to year. Very powerful stuff.